Hello and welcome. Cambell here from Autodidactic channel. Hope you're having a fabulous day. And today I wanted to have a look at some ancient structures in the middle of Australia. And this is basically, we're told it's like a cave that has basically been dug out over thousands of years. But we'll have a look at it and from a different perspective and see what it might actually be, because as we know, his story is not our story, and the story they're telling us of our past is just a complete fabrication made up to hide the recent advanced civilization that did exist worldwide. So this is Nawala Gabanmung, an ancient site, an ancient Aboriginal sort of spiritual, I guess, ancestral site. And yeah, it's just popping up in the middle of Australia. So let's go and have a look. Okay, so this is called holdmyark.com, and it's all about Nawala Gabanmung. And it says, is this the oldest stonemason work in the world? Much older than Stonehenge and even Göbekli Tepe, the Nawala Gabanmung stone monument in Arnhem Land, Australia is 50,000 years old. And here we have a pic. Located in southwestern Arnhem Land, Australia, is a stone monument that was created by the Aboriginal Australians 50,000 years ago. Nawala Gabanmung is an incredible example of engineering a rock shelter not seen elsewhere of this period, of this time in ancient history. The meaning is hole in the rock. Okay, so what do we have here? So what it is, it's a big rock outcrop, and it's basically hollowed out underneath. So you can see with this picture here, it's this natural sort of rock shelf is what they're telling us, natural rock shelf. And the story is that over a lot of time, the Aboriginal people, the tribal people, have come here and they've dug it out basically, and they've left these pillars standing, and it's a sacred place to them. So I do have another chat video I did a few days ago for the Australia Tartaria channel where we get into this a bit deeper. So I'll leave the link for that below, but I really just want to focus on the actual structure itself. So this picture here, you can see, got columns. Now look at this squared off bit at the top. Can you see that? It's sort of a bit that's hanging down. And then we have a pillar coming down. Over here, we have the same sort of squared off bit. It looks like a chunk's fallen off. And this pillar, now these pillars, I mean, they're pillars, right? But are these natural or man-made? Are they just extremely old, extremely worn? Because look what's in the background here. Can you see this now? I've looked for a good picture of this background and haven't been able to find one as of yet, but we'll go have a look at Google Earth a bit later. But can you see this? It just looks like, it looks like something you'd see in Asia, like Angkor Wat or one of those sort of areas, or South America. Just all these pillars and doorways and levels on top, and it's just everywhere. Look at this big doorway here. And so this is the cave in front of us. This bit, I'm guessing it's part of the whole structure, because it's like, what it is we'll have a look at a picture later, but it's sort of shelves of rock that sort of go up a hill, a bit of a slope. So, so many questions about this, because again, look, can you see this square bit on top? Look at that. And then we have a pillar. You can see here, it's got the bit on top and a pillar, bit on top and a pillar. You know, and are these just worn down? Of course, there's lots of traditional artwork now all over it. But of course, that can't be dated because you can't touch it. You know, you can't scrape any paint off or anything to touch it. They just sort of say, well, you know, we found a fire here that that was 20,000 years old. So that's how old the pictures are. So yeah, look at this column. Can you see the lines, the striations going across like that? So that's the question. Was this found? You know, the whole, was this found or was this founded? Okay, so here are some pictures, some more photos of Nawala Gambanwang. I think I'll get that right. And as you can see now, the first thing is, look at all this rubble everywhere. And look, that's, you know, look at all the right angles on that. And that, you know, everywhere. This looks like, I don't know, it looks man-made, but as you can see up here, we have these layers, and this, you know, clearly a lot of this has fallen down from there. And these layers, you know, that's the whole geology question of how does this form? They tell us it forms from, you know, like dirt, debris build up. And so you get these layers. But why are they perfectly flat, perfectly straight? And when does the layer form? Like what's the point between, you know, the old layer and the new layer where you get this line? You know, they sort of just don't really go into it, but you see everywhere. So is this like the pancaking effect? Is this an extremely old structure that's just pancaked, fallen in on itself, and just yeah, compressed down? And this is what we see. Because if this is man-made, this looks extremely old. You know, like 10,000 years old. Just because of the wearing on it. But also the next thing is, look at the ground level. You see, you can't stand up straight in here. Or maybe, I don't know how tall this guy is, but he can't. This guy doesn't look like he can. So why would you carve this out and not make it tall enough to stand in? Because this is just all dirt. You know, this isn't a rock floor or anything like that. It's just all dirt. Okay, so this is a bigger picture. So see down here, we have this pillar effect again. Here we have what they're calling a natural cave. And up here, there's more caves that go into the rock. Now, I believe that the bit we were looking at is actually out in front here a bit, and this is sort of the walls, because that main bit is kind of like a strip. But this is what it is, just out in the middle of Australia. Again, you know, all these, you know, these pillars, right, with these square bits on top of them, and in the background there, we can see the cliffs. Another angle, and again, look at this just big square bit above this pillar. And no doubt that's, you know, explained away by this rock falling off. You know, why it falls cut in straight lines this way, I don't know. But obviously, you know, as far as layering. And then, you know, you've got to ask, how old is this artwork as well? And back on holdmyarc.com, it says some of the oldest rock art paintings in the world are found at Garbenmung. This monument contains a historical gallery of rock art and some of the oldest full paintings in the world. It doesn't actually give a date. The artwork of Garbenmung rivals the paintings found in France and Spain, noting that most dates for rock art are questionable. So are those great dates now suggested for France and Spain, which is 65,000 years. So when did this fall? Okay, because we've got artwork here, right? We've got artwork here. Clearly, if they're going to say, and I haven't looked into the story, but I can imagine what it will be, right? We've got all these bits all over the ground. They're going to say they've come from the roof and fallen down. Okay, so they've fallen down here and then they've painted. So when did this fall down? Like, the question is, has all this been sitting on the ground, all these bits of rock, for 50,000 years and not been moved? They've gone in, they've dug all this out, but they haven't moved the rock on the ground for 50,000 years, because that's how old they say this artwork is. Okay, so if this was, that's what I'm saying, you know, obviously, if this had been painted on a lower level, it would be on all this cracked rock, which has fallen off. So, yeah, this rock has to have been fallen off 50,000 years and not touched for this artwork to be there. Otherwise, if it fell off earlier than that, the art would be on this rock. So, you know, when you just start to look at all these old sites and you know, sort of really start to think about the stories, you know, they just don't make sense, right? Now here again, and look, the whole thing covered in artwork, right? And like they said, it is questionable. I will go back and have a bit more of a look at that article in a minute, but it's questionable because they can't touch it, right? They can't scrape any of the paint off and test it. And this photo, look at this line. Look at, we've got symmetry here, right? Like a row of columns. Got two at the entrance. So what is this place really? Is it an old structure? This one I found interesting because of all the colors in the rock. You know, again, is this, you know, evidence of melting? And so we have, you know, things like the red bricks, we have like the copper, which is the blue, you know, the metals and things. Is this, yeah, just a melted, compacted, very old structure? Because look at this, all sitting up on columns, and all, you know, like at the corners are all sort of seem to be in the right spot. And of course, they're saying it's been sitting like this for 50,000 years, so it's obviously structurally sound. This is just a bit of a wider shot. Okay, so maybe that bit is, it's hard to work out, but it looks like maybe this is the caves that we saw from that bigger shot before. But again, look, there's just this, you know, is this shale? Is that what it's called? Just bits of rock everywhere, you know, all right angled, looking, you know, man-made, a lot of these. This not so much. But what do you think? And of course, we just get these lines in all these old, you know, all this rock, these rock formations that tend to look like old buildings. This is almost like a wall. You can almost see bricks in there. Look at this. See that? I don't think that's natural somehow. So many questions. Another shot. See, I'm not sure how it works because in the background you can see these more pillars. Some more artwork, traditional artwork. And this is, again, they would be saying this is 50,000 years old now. You know, this is the thing. This is out on a wall. You know, the stuff that's covered up, you know, sure, they've got a bigger way to explain that. I mean, maybe this, I don't know, is this under it? Maybe it is undercover. It doesn't look like it. But even if it is and it's on a wall rather than the ceiling, you've got wind and stuff blowing in, you know, you've got animals, you've got all these things over 50,000 years, and it hasn't affected the paint. But in the same time, right, mountains have worn down, you know, if you're talking about geology. So it's a bit of a muddled story. Yeah, see, this one you can see straight through, so I'm still trying to work out what's going on here. This front bit here, these almost look like steps, very old steps. But just this, yeah, this rock and shale everywhere. So if they're saying, you know, because this is geology, right? This weathers, this rock weathers. That's why we get these funny formations and it falls apart, and that's why we get this stuff all over the ground. Okay, fair enough. How long's it been there? 50,000 years, because you got the artwork. And this is just a bigger sort of a shot. So you can see, I mean, this is, you know, there's not a lot in Central Australia. This is Arnhem Land, so we're talking Northern Territory. Not a lot there, very flat. And just get this big rock outcropping. What we're told is a rock outcropping, and you can see it goes sort of up in levels. So is this actually something different to what we're told, because this is the cave here, but you can see there's like entrances and undercrofts and things everywhere. And of course, this is nearby. So the other thing about Australia being very flat and, in the centre, it's, 80% it's just desert really, but lots of rock outcroppings and lots of gorges. Gorgeous, right? And so there actually is still quite a bit of water out in Central Australia, but they don't want us to know that. I mean, look how green it is out here. Northern Territory, once you get up north, it gets more tropical, but so there was this, right? There was a water source. What are we looking at here? Look at this bit. What do you think that is? Again, just, what looks like brick shapes, huge brick shapes, megalithic kind of stuff. These just look like bricks stacked on top of each other. I mean, look at the lines here. Big bit at the top. This looks like a rounded, turret almost. And our water source. And I mean, look how straight that river is. Man-made, what do you think? Okay, so this is Arnhem Land in the Northern Territory. So this is Australia, as you can see, mostly desert. But as you get up, to the top here, Northern Territory, Queensland, a bit of WA, there's Ord River and stuff up there. Oh, and there's an interesting airport. That must be me. I wonder what that is. Oh, and there we go. Look, that is an interesting airport indeed. Look at that. Up in the middle of nowhere, Northern Territory. Got a community there and everything. Wow, I wonder what that is. Wow, look at that mine. They just strip mining. And that's a hill. Obviously, that's I think I'd say it's a rock outcrop. Could it be an old building? And the remnants of an old city. Anyway, let's see if we can find. So here's Arnhem Land, right up in the north, tropics. Okay, and so look, we get these meanders in the rivers as well. Big green bits, pretty interesting landscape. Oh, some random clouds someone decided to put there. Look at this line, edge of the pixel. Liechtenstein lines, but Arnhem Land. So I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find this. I did a search and it did not come up. So, I mean, basically this is the area where it is. So I don't think I'm going to be able to give you a top view, but this is, the very north of Australia. Look at that. Look at all those Lichtenbergs and look at all this water. An airport there. There's lots of islands, as you can see, off the coast here. And there's not, very sparse population out here. Look at that. But just a very scarred landscape. Look at that. Look at all these lines. I mean, these look more like scarring more than the long lines that we find that, Michelle Gibson and John Levi have found many of them. But this, look at this, it's just, I don't know what's going on. It's just old rock. But basically, yeah, that's the very north of Australia, and there's lots of interesting stuff out there. This is, it's like a harp installation. Again, out in the middle of nowhere. Check that out. And if we go in, look at these. They almost look like valves from an engine, don't they? But look, see how they got that? They're all equidistant. And they're just going up for no reason. We've got balls here, a line of balls here, a line of balls here. Of course, we've got the pentagon, then we've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided star, another pentagon, just so much geometry in that. And it's supposed to be some kind of heart facility. So, there's lots going on in WA, but it's just that it's such a big state. I mean, look where that is. It's literally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, there's a lot of small towns up here because it's all mining. I mean, look at it, looks like it's already been mined, right? Not much there. Let's have one look at this anomaly. We are Geraldton, okay? This is a city. Don't think it's 100,000, probably 50, 60,000 people. And you come in and you find this. Now it doesn't want to give me good resolution. No, but you can see this structure here. What is this? Looking very much like the remnants of some kind of star fort or something. And this again, just out in the middle of nowhere, but it's a town, it's got its circuit, it's got its golf course, of course. It's got its man-made shorelines up here. And yeah, just in the middle of nowhere. But anyway, there we go. There are more star forts just in the desert. Here we get, look at this effect that we get here. See all these dots? Now this does look like a grid. Okay, can you see that? This sort of grid system and all these sort of nodal dots. So I'm not sure what that is. These are just sort of, they're not craters. They're like the craters you see, that we're told are on the moon, where it's got a raised sort of edge, but no hole. And again, you can just see the different minerals, the blue and the red, the copper, the iron, and just what are these? Just these spots. I don't think these actually are the ones with the raised edges. They're just spots. And look at these lines running everywhere. These are roads, and these perfectly straight ones. Look how far it goes. But anyway, there is a star here. Now, I've shown this to a few people. Some people said, oh, well, maybe it's a dam, because that's how they make dams. They basically just, build up an edge around it. But why then have we got these points on it? Of course, they don't want to give us, a good picture, because satellites, right? Satellites exist, but when you get in the desert, they don't work so well for some reason, even though they cover the whole Earth, apparently. So there you go, looking very much like the remnants of a star fort. Just interesting stuff everywhere. Look at all these lines radiating out as well. Almost looks like it's in, like a part of a bigger structure that got wiped out somewhere. Somehow. And down here we have, what's this? A blast zone? Look at this. This looks like an explosion, like a splat. Again, I'm not sure if it's just if this is blurred out or not, but very bright purples in here. And this is the thing, Google Earth, since it's been released, it's just like everything Google, right? It's gotten worse and worse every year because they just keep censoring more and more of it, showing us less and less. And, we don't even know how real it was to begin with. So there you go. Gabunamung caves. Is it a man-made structure or a natural structure? What do you think? Out here in the middle of nowhere, are these naturally formed pillars, or was it carved out by people over thousands of years, or is it the remains and the remnants of an ancient structure? Let me know below in the comments. And of course, please give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell if you haven't. That way, hopefully you'll get notified by YouTube when I upload and go live and things like that. If you have bell, just double check it, because YouTube, right? And I had, like I said, I'll leave a link below for the chat that I had for Australian Tartaria Facebook group with Kel, and also my David Icke interview is up on Bitchute. I'll leave a link for that below as well, so go check that out. So thank you again for joining me. Big thank you to everyone who does support this channel, and of course, thank you to all my Patreons, people who support me on PayPal, and also through my merch store. I really do appreciate you all. And if you would like to support this channel and my work, there are links below that you can go and check out. So thanks for joining me. Have a fantastic day. And most of all, stay awesome. And I'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.